Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be explaining the Saturn toy and giving you a rundown on how you need to properly care for this because it's not indestructible. Saturn is a coin toy that has a ring and a coin in the middle that spins. When you first open your Saturn, it's not going to spin super freely because of the way it's machined. The way Saturn is made is there's an outside ring. The inside coin has holes in it where these spokes are placed in on either side, put into the ring, and welded into place. These weld points are not indestructible. This is a very thin ring, and so welding at this size is pretty difficult. It's very small, and for the most part, this toy is somewhat durable if you play with it responsibly. So now that you understand how it's made, I'm going to show you how you need to play with it, because you don't want to drop this at all. If you buy this toy, please play with it responsibly. It's up to you to keep this from breaking. It's primarily a fidget toy so that you can just hold and play with and fidget with, but you can do Skilltoy like tricks with it. Now, dropping it like this is somewhat okay, but you don't want to do that. You do not want to drop it, because every time you drop it, you're putting stress on these weld points. You want to play with this over a soft surface. What I just did is me playing with this irresponsibly. You don't really want to drop it like that. Now, it can take drops like this, but over time, you keep putting stress on these spokes. Now, granted, these drops probably aren't super hard, and they probably won't break it, but again, over time, this puts stress on these. This is heavy metal. This is solid steel, so every time you drop it, this is shifting around. Now, as you can see, I'm pulling on it really hard right now, and it's in there. It's good. This thing is pretty durable as is, but you want to reduce dropping it as much as possible. This might seem silly, but this is the best way to play with it. If you have something soft, like a blanket or pillow, this is never going to create an impact that hurts the toy. You can play with it, you can toss it, and as long as it drops on something where there's no impact, this is going to last you a really long time. And this is how you should play with it if you want to do harder tricks. If you want to start doing finger switches and things like that, you want to have it on a surface that will not create an impact. Using a soft surface like that, like playing over a bed or over a couch, guaranteeing that it will not fall, like that setup I just had, it's very unlikely that it'll bounce off and hit the floor. You want to refrain from that ever happening. Now, you can sit back in a chair like this and play with it and drop it in your lap, and that's fine because that's not an impact. But if you accidentally drop it and it hits the floor, you're risking compromising these spokes, and you want to try your best to have that not happen. If you don't have a blanket readily available, or a bed or a couch, then playing with it on a carpeted floor like this should be decent. It's not the best. The best would be having something super cushioned under it, but this is not really going to stress it too much. You can drop it about 10 inches from your sitting point, and it shouldn't mess it up. It still has a good spin, and this spin is how you judge if you've impacted it badly. Playing with it like this isn't the best option, but it's a good secondary option, because if you drop it, again, it's not that big of an impact. So every Saturn, when you open it, it's not going to spin freely because the spokes are welded in and it has to be shoved in a certain way. I had to use a different factory than I normally do because this is such a weird project, and it's so thin that you can't really have a rod go all the way through it, because then this middle part would jiggle. So having the holes only in the coin prevent this from wobbling back and forth. Over time, this will start to loosen up. If you play with it responsibly, this will loosen up and spin super freely like a fidget spinner. Because playing with it over and over, You're basically grinding those spokes down and it opens it up. You can put like lubes and oils in it, that will help, but ultimately playing with it over and over will loosen this up. And this is how you want it to spin. It'll spin a little bit and then kind of stop because those spokes are new and they're still not fully grinded down. Every Saturn is going to come like this in a package with the label, and right here is a warning sign. This says read before opening. This is not an unbreakable product and requires some measure of care and carefulness on your part. If you do not agree to that, please return the product unopened for a refund. Learn more on how to properly care for your Saturn inside this slip. If you return it to me like this and you don't think you can take care of it like I just showed you how, if I get it back unopened, I will give you a refund. But if you open it, that means you agreed to this slip. Every Saturn comes with the Saturn and 2 stickers. Now on the inside of this slip is more information about what I just explained in the beginning of this video. On how to play with it, you want to play with it over a soft surface, you don't want to drop it that much, how it's welded together, how this is a fragile toy for the most part. This slip has all the information you need. But also, I need people to watch this video to fully understand this product so there is no issues on your end. So this is the Saturn I just opened. And as you can see, it doesn't spin super freely. But like I said, the one I was just using, I've been playing with over time. After a couple weeks to a month, it loosens up slowly and slowly. And also, it's not bad that it's stiff. It kind of helps the toy because it's a different way to play with it. If it's all super loose, you can't do certain tricks with it. With it being semi-tight in certain areas, it's like a totally different fidget device. Now, this is what you don't want to do. If you drop it like this, that's bad. So you can see that it's still intact. It's pretty durable. It's a pretty durable toy. Out of the package, it's pretty durable. And see, I'm pulling on it and those spokes are pretty much welded on there good. But if you keep dropping it on a hard surface, you slowly start compromising these spokes. You want to avoid major drops. This is a bad way to drop it. If you're walking around with it and you drop it from this height, it's going to break eventually. But as you can see, it's still pretty strong. Now, I took a risk making these because they can break, and I'm going to break this one. I'm going to sacrifice this one on this video to show you how it breaks over time. When you drop these, the way you can tell if it's compromised is now it's not really even spinning. So that means that I have bent the spokes. It's not an entirely bad thing, again, that it doesn't spin, because it can still be played with in certain ways. So it's still pretty good right now, but I'm still going to keep dropping it to show you what can happen. Let's say you accidentally drop it, give it a bad impact on a harder surface. And right there, that did it. That last toss I did ended up breaking this. So you see, it can take several impacts, but you want to avoid those at all costs. You want to avoid that happening any way possible. You don't want it to fall ever, because over time, this will break. It's not perfect. It's not a fully durable toy. If this happens, it means you are not taking the precautions from keeping it from dropping. It's unfortunate if your Saturn breaks, but if you're an optimistic, this is also its own toy and you have a fully good contact coin with the middle piece. So it does suck that this toy broke, but these are now still playable objects. Saturn is a really cool fidget toy. It's fun to play with, it's fun to hold, and it's a new skill toy that you can discover new tricks with by meddling with it and moving it around in your hand. But again, this can break if you drop it a lot and with big impacts. So you want to play over surfaces that are super soft, that reduce the impact any way possible, and you want to make sure that you never drop it on the hard surfaces. If you have to play over a hard surface, it's considered a desk toy, because if you drop it from here, it's not that big of an impact, but again, these little tiny drops are still going to compromise the middle piece. So you don't want to play over a hard surface. You want to have some kind of a impact reduced surface to drop it on. As a small business, I've taken a risk by making these, and I'm making this video and making sure that you understand how to properly care for this before you get this sent to you. So if you're interested in getting a Saturn, please understand that it is up to you to protect its safety. With proper care and proper safety to the toy, this should last you a very long time. But please understand that they are not unbreakable. This will break eventually with impacts. So you want to do everything you possibly can to keep this from taking any type of impact. I hope you understand, and if you are willing to buy one of these, I hope you do the right thing and take proper care of it and have fun with this toy. It's a really cool, unique toy. So now that you've seen this video and now that you understand the risks, if you end up wanting to get one, please do everything you can to reduce the impacts, and this toy will last you a long time.